is not really about quantity, it is about quality, both of the books and also of the reading experience. Reading is a thing that I do for fun. It is not my job. And so thus, as a thing that I do for fun, I want to prioritize it being fun. So I have a couple books to share with you that I read / am reading, and then some books that I'm really wanting to read here in December. So the first book I finished right at the beginning of November, and that was A Court of Mist and Fury. You may recall that I really did not like A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I only read A Court of Mist and Fury because a friend said that it was better. The reason I did not like A Court of Thorns and Roses, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Feyre is an insufferable main character. I found her so frustrating, so, like, foolish and helpless, and, like, I couldn't relate, and I couldn't, like, make it make sense. Like, it felt like she was supposed to be a relatable main character, but then, like, it didn't hit for me. And so the only reason that I decided to give this one a go was this one, there was, because I've been trying to work on reading a little bit faster and skimming a bit more, I think there are definitely some like lore and world building plot points that I've kind of missed, which also is what's slowing me down and wanting to read the next book in the series. Like, there's definitely some aspects of it that I don't really understand, or I would get to points in this book and be like, what the fuck are they talking about? And realize I have to like go back. So yeah, I think it was a good book to practice some like faster reading with. Having some executive dysfunction, I love to read. It is one of my favorite things, and I sometimes feel like I need to like read every single word aloud in my head to make it make sense. And I've recently learned that people don't do that, that that's not actually how people read, which makes sense to me now that some people are much faster readers than I am. And I realize I don't need to be a fast reader. No one needs to be a fast reader. But I was curious if I could like make my brain kind of like pick it up a little bit. And it's been challenging. And in so doing, I've like missed definitely some plot points. Or just kind of like lore points, you know, like not like big things that happen in the plot, but like kind of the politics of things in the book, you know. So anyway, that's been my foray into kind of learning how to read a bit faster. But I do think this has been a good book to do it with, because these are some thick boys, and I don't feel like the writing is like, it doesn't how do I say this without it coming across kind of unkind? The writing is fairly simple, like straightforward. I don't feel like what this book excels in is its prose. Obviously I think it excels in other ways. But it's not, I'm not reading it for the prose, I guess. As you can see, this book is pretty busted. This has been a month of me not doing a good job taking care of my books, which is okay, but I am normally very like to keep my books very pristine. This one I spilled an entire bottle of water on while it was in my bag. That was a nightmare. It took like 3 days to dry. I was afraid the pages were going to be like stuck together and I couldn't read it, but all was well. As you'll see going forward, yeah, the books I read this month all got a little busted somehow. So after I finished A Court of Mist and Fury, I was like, I need to read something good. I need to read like some literary fiction. I need to read something that like will be a bit of a palate cleanser. Like after reading a bunch of mystery, fantasy, and romance, I was like, I need to read something that makes me use my brain just like a little bit more. As you can tell, like, I'm a little bit pretentious about books. Like, not in a judgmental way, but like, I do really feel like literary fiction is the water I generally swim in. And I am outgrowing my judgment of romance and fantasy, but it's definitely still like alive and well. I don't know. Like, I do love a book of quality, and I think that this is an exceptional one. This book is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I was recommended this book by Fleur. It's one of our favorite authors, and this book is exceptional. I mentioned this book, I think, in a video during this past month, possibly. And I was talking about how this book is very critically acclaimed. It won a Booker Award. And it is less than 150 pages. You can see, not doing a good job taking care of my books. It's a short little guy, and the text is also really big. Like, I feel like you could read that from here. So it's short. It's And so in creating something that is a scale that feels more attainable, it then is like, but I'm not doing that, and I don't do that, you know? And if I wrote 110 pages, I don't think it would be nearly this good. And how does an artist use them like mediums so effectively and efficiently? I don't know. Whatever. This looks very good. It's a beautiful portrait of a town in Ireland in the mid-80s, I think. It centers around a man who delivers like wood and fuel and coal to the people in this small town. So he's very like kind of well known amongst the town, and it is also a small town. But this book just feels like a snow globe. Like everything is so vivid and immediate, and all of the characters are so like intentional, and I feel like I'm doing kind of a poor job describing this book, but so the book also takes place in the weeks before Christmas, and I think that also really was wonderful to read during the month of November. It was very it felt very seasonal. Like the book is not about Christmas, but it was nice to read during this time of year. And the main character, what is his name? Bill Furlong. He, is going about his life. The book kind of follows him about his life, and through that you kind of see his past, his childhood, and his family, and the losses in his life, and you kind of begin to understand how this small town works, and the role that the church has in this small town. And I don't want to say too much more about it, because I think that the beauty of it kind of lies in discovering the story as you're reading it. So but oh gosh, it's a beautiful piece of writing. It's like masterful. Like I feel like I really wanted, when I finished it, I really wanted to have read it like in an English class, because I felt like there was so many symbols, so much symbolism, so many like themes and kind of through lines. It feels like this really richly kind of woven tapestry. Yeah, I could continue to describe it in different ways, and I feel like you would get the same vibe. But I really enjoyed it. Now, absolutely shifting gears. So I'm embarrassed that I told you guys that I was reading this book at this point, because I told you guys I was reading this book, and I had not yet understood quite. I had not understood. Okay, so this feels so cruel after talking about small things like these, which is just so excellent. Not to say that this book is not good in its own right, but it's a vibe shift for sure. The book is Credence by Penelope Douglas, it's just like, oh, what a fun time for them. Hot. This book, like, I didn't know that people could just write porn in a book. I don't know. So, if that is what you are searching for, give this bad boy a try, I guess. Basically, quick rundown. Main character is a recently 18-year-old girl. Her parents have both died. She is contacted by her uncle, and he is her dad's stepbrother or step-uncle. And he says, I'm your legal guardian. You don't have to come live with me, but I live in a cabin with my two sons who are your age in the mountains. I believe in Colorado, but I'm not actually certain. And you can live with me until you're 18. Or, yeah, right, she's not yet 18. She turns 18 while she's living with them. And I think you, like, given what I have said previously, and then how I wrote this, like, of course, she becomes involved with not one, not two, but her step-uncle and both of her step-cousins, who are her age. Her step-uncle is older. I don't even know what more to say about it, because I'm embarrassed to have told you that I was reading it previously, and I'm only telling you this now to say that, like, I'll be real, okay? I feel like there are, real, how do I say what I'm trying to say? I don't know. Reading especially like the sex scenes, feels like watching like porn that's like made for men. Which is interesting, because I often feel like, I mean, not to like typify it too much, but I feel like often like smut is kind of a more girly's domain. And so it felt very weird to see like the main character like kind of subjugated in the way that she is in this book, and a lot of like just non-consensual stuff. So if that's a trigger for you, definitely don't recommend. And I totally get like that is some people's thing, but I just feel like the author being a woman, like I would never, even if I was the author writing this and I was into it, I don't know that I would like, I don't know, it just feels a little sus in my opinion. Yeah. I heard Haley Jean talk about this book, and she said that she really didn't like who the main character ended up like choosing at the end to like be with. And so I'm really curious about who she ends up choosing, because I know who I don't want her to choose, and I'm afraid that it's gonna be that guy. So this book is much more than I signed up for. That being said, it's like it's been hot for sure, but like I feel a little like, oh my god, I didn't know that was, you could, you know. So all that to say, do what you will. Do what you will. I think I'll finish it, but jury's still out. And I want to end my November reads with a book that I'm reading that I'm really enjoying. So this video I feel like is going like all over the map. But this book I picked up, I think I started reading it maybe in October, like a while ago. And I put it down This book is gonna fuck me up. And oh my lord, has it. So this is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. As you can tell, this book also busted. This happened today, I think. I put this in my bag to take to go get coffee, and yep, and then I've also like spilled coffee through the middle of it, so like we're just not gonna talk about it. But oh my god, this book is so beautiful and thoughtful, and it's a love story. So it centers around the two main characters, Aldo and Reagan, and they both have kind of their own intricacies and like mental illnesses that they're dealing with. But I think it's really interesting because in the kind of like description of it, it talks a lot about like coping with mental illness, and I think the really wonderful part about reading it is that the characters, though they are, you kind of get to ride along with each of them in their brains. And so while like yes, they are like coping with mental illness, it is portrayed in the way of like how it is to be a person with a mental illness, that like you are still a person existing and living and like perceiving your life, and the way that you perceive your life is sometimes kind of defined by your traumas or your mental illness or what have you, and you're still very much a person. And that's, I think, what I really enjoy about it. I thought it was going to be much more centered around like mental illness, and instead it is like centered around mental illness in the way that it just tells two people's stories, and the story is not necessarily about, so far, like their mental illness. It's about their relationship with one another, but that cannot be like what is the word, like dissected, like pulled apart from their mental illness. So it's beautiful, it's hot, not like the book I mentioned previously, but like it just it's like what I keep thinking about it is I've been talking about this book with Fleur, and she's an air sign and I'm an air sign Venus, which means like the way that I love is very like cerebral and like I love figuring people out. I'm a Gemini Venus, if you wanted to know. I've mentioned it before. I'm trying to reclaim it, okay? Like, I'm not just a flirt. I just love to chat. I love to like figure out people's little minds. That's my like biggest form of intimacy. Anyway, I really feel like this is like an air sign book. This is like reading, like watching a movie through someone's brain. I don't know how to describe it better. I really like the book is just these two people figuring each other out, and it's so beautiful. It's like a love story that I dream of, but it's very like human and real and sincere. So I am enjoying this one incredibly. I'm that far through. Is that my bookmark? Yeah. Like 2/3 or so. I was hoping to finish it today, but I haven't gotten to my reading portion of the day yet. This book smacks a bit of like normal people, like a very Sally Rooney type vibe. I mean, I think like I'm enjoying it a bit more than I've enjoyed Sally Rooney books, in that I see myself very reflected in these characters, and like, and yeah, it feels like a bit more cerebral. Like for me, my specifically actually December books that I'm looking forward to reading, and they're all little romance novels, so just in my girly era. Okay, so the first one is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I saw Lil Bailey talking about this book, and honestly it just sounded like the perfect kind of like light, sweet holiday read. It centers around the main character is a plus size adult film star, and I love romance novels that, okay, well, I'm thinking about one specifically. One to watch is a romance novel that centers around a plus size main character, and I truly love, I loved that book a lot, because it helps me kind of like delve into some of my own like worthiness and self-worth in romantic relationships that I had not even considered, and I was not expecting a romance novel to do that for me at all. So I'm really hopeful for this one. And basically, yeah, it centers around her, and I don't really know, let's see. Oh, she has gay moms, that's cool. So she's like trying to take her work in a more family-friendly direction, and then her co-star is her childhood crush, Nolan Shaw. This is iconic because that person shares the name of my biggest crush right now. Anyway, and so oh, and so she has like an OnlyFans type account, and then he follows her, and so then they start hooking up, I guess. I don't know. Sounds fun, sounds saucy. That they're both trying to like rehab their like PR, you know, they're trying to whatever. It just sounds fun, saucy. Also, I was noticing that it's written by plus size authors as well, which I think is like good. Just to like have people writing, like having straight size authors write plus size experience feels like a recipe for disaster, and I like people writing their own experience. I think it, you know, provides a much more real lens. The next book is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. These are my winter themed books, can you tell? I don't really know a lot about this book either. It's about hockey. One of the girls is a figure skater. The boy is a hockey player. And, some enemies to lovers plus they can't stand each other. Anyway, cute. I'm hyped. Recently I matched with somebody who's on the professional hockey team here, and I'm waiting for the moment in which I feel absolutely brave enough to message him, because he's so cute. I don't know if I exactly give off like Puck Bunny vibes though, you know, like I think I might be a bit too queer for that, but it was like a huge up for my ego. Speaking of being too queer for that, the last book is Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellafour, and this is like a fake dating queer romance novel that takes place in Seattle and has to do with astrology. So my best friend was like, you need to read this, and I was like, fantastic, I will. So yeah, they pretend they're dating, and then expires on New Year's Eve, so very festive, very holiday. It also somehow has to do with astrology. Oh no. I love. So I'm really